Last time we made some really fun character drawings to find out how we want to draw the people in our story. Today, I'll show you some strategies that I use to plan out my story and figure out how it will take form into our book. It takes a few different steps, but these steps will help you explore and look at all of your options and decide what works best for your storytelling. We're going to start out by writing down the event or conversation in words. This is the first step that I take when planning out my story. I write down the moment or the conversation as best as I can remember. You can do this on the computer like I am, or if you want, you can do it by hand in a notebook. So here at the top you see that I've written conversation with Randy 4 because I've recorded other conversations that we've had before. And I think it's really great to describe the setting, the actions, and also the feelings that characters are having. That way we can have a clearer and a fuller picture when we draw it out later. And so here I'm highlighting this is the first description piece that I wrote. And after that, in between, I have some dialogue here. So in between the descriptions, I'll write down the conversation that happened as the actions and emotions are happening. So for now, just write it down as best as you can remember. So I'll read out to you what I have written. It says, Randy and Taj are lying in bed together. Taj is spooning Randy as Randy clutches the blanket up to her face. Randy, I put R for Randy. I just feel really terrible, like really, really terrible, and I don't know what to do about it. Taj. Taj. Should we scream out loud together? On the count of 3. Taj is half smiling and is hoping this will cheer Randy up. Taj. 1, 2. Randy looks back at Taj a little panicked. Wait! I'm self-conscious someone's going to hear us. Randy and Taj are both smiling. Taj. Okay, into our pillows then. 1, 2, 3. Randy and Taj stuff their faces into their pillows. Their hands are gripping the pillows tightly. And then screaming. And that's the end of my story. And you'll notice too that for some of the dialogue, even though it's the same person talking, I've still written in R, wait, and then R again. I'm self-conscious someone's going to hear us. You don't have to do this, but I find that when I write out a pause like that, and it makes me read it slower, so that when I draw it into a comic, I'll know that this part where she says wait, maybe I want it to be a separate speech bubble, or it's a moment that had a little bit more time before she started talking again. And there's other ways that you can do that. Another way I like to do that is to maybe enter a couple times, and you can put some dashes in between, and that kind of helps to visually separate those parts. Or same here, it can be helpful, I could do that here too. You can also use some visual tricks like I can highlight all the parts where Randy is talking. Maybe I highlight them all in blue, and I'll highlight all of mine in pink, and that way it's easier for me to see which parts are being spoken by who. This isn't something you have to do, but I think it's great to play around with planning techniques to help yourself see what you've written and understand what you're writing about more. So here's another version of the written plan that I did, but this time I wrote it by hand. This can take a little bit longer than doing it on the computer, but there's some advantages to it because you can draw and write as much as you like, or how you like to when you do it on paper. So you see, for example, here for the moment where Randy says, wait. I felt that that moment was really important to put a lot of focus on. So I circled it, and then same with the scream at the end. I wrote it a lot bigger. I kind of gave it this little wave, and then I drew a big oval around it, and that kind of helps me have a better image in my mind of how it's going to look when I draw the full thing out at the end. So you can do either way on the computer or by hand, or you can also do both like I did. Sometimes when you do plans in different versions, then it can help you see, again, like when we were doing our character drawings, you see different options that you can take, and you can pick your favorites from those different options. Another thing that I really like when you write things by hand is using Post-it notes. I also love Post-it notes just because I think they look really cute, especially when you get different colors, but they can be really useful for just adding things on to your ideas. So here I wrote down lying in bed together, spooning, but maybe I just want to do a little doodle here so that I can kind of visualize it better. And maybe here too, when Randy says, wait, I forgot to write down that she turns her head to look at me, so maybe I'd just put another one here to remind me. For our next step, we want to take our written plan and make thumbnail drawings out of them. Thumbnails are simplified, small drawings that become the blueprint of what your final product will look like. They're useful because they help you visualize the bigger picture before you spend lots of time doing detailed and more complex drawings. Sometimes when you don't take time to plan ahead, you can make something more spontaneous, and that can be really beautiful. But I've also had a lot of times where I put a lot of time into a drawing that didn't end up working out with the rest of the story, so thumbnails are helpful to avoid that happening. Usually what I do is I have my written plan in front of me while I draw my thumbnails. I use either graph paper or dotted paper to make drawing rectangles easier. I count the number of pages I have on my book so I know how many rectangles I have to draw. Some of the pages open and show a wide spread, so I put those pages side by side in my thumbnails too. Then I look over the actions and dialogue in my written plan and start mapping them out into my rectangles. I've done this many times before, so I have an easier time imagining how I want the drawing to look before I even start drawing it. If this is your first time trying this, go easy on yourself. If you have to try a few times before you get something that you really like, that's okay. A couple key things that I think about when drawing my thumbnails are: 1. How long is the dialogue? Speed speech bubbles can sometimes take up half the page, so make sure you leave space for them so we can read it properly. The second thing that I think about is, are my drawings and speech bubbles filling the whole page? One of the easiest ways to get better at composition is to try and touch every edge of the paper with something, or have all of the areas of your paper filled. I also really love compositions where there's lots of empty space, but I think those work better when there's an important reason for that empty space. So in general, I try to use as much of the paper that I have as possible. And just like with our character drawings and our written plan, writing notes can help. By the time I got to my last rectangle, I realized I ran out of space. In this situation, I could choose to either make my book longer or try to shuffle my story over to make it fit. I ended up scrapping the first 2 pages because I thought I could probably fit that onto 1 page instead. I used a post-it note to cover my title page and chose to move the scrap pages there instead. I renumbered the other pages to help me stay on track too. Now that I've scrapped those 2 pages at the beginning, I can add 2 more at the end and finish up my thumbnails. Since I had drawings on my title page, I figured it would be okay to have the final drawing on the back page too. This is a bit unconventional for most books, but I like it and that's all that matters to me. I finished my thumbnails, and most importantly, I'm really happy with how they look as a full story. This means I can try one more step to help me see how it will look like as a book. I decided to cut out my thumbnail drawings and tape them together in order. This way, they'll look like the accordion fold book that we made earlier, and it will become like a mini model version of the final book. Another word for this is a mock-up. I folded it back and forth as well, so I could open and close it like the final book will. With all of these planning steps complete, I almost feel ready to getting to making the final book. Next video will be our last one together. We're going to start off picking colors and testing some materials, and then finally we'll complete our story. I'm really excited to see how it turns out. See you then.